And here's what he tweeted out. Source, the Detroit Lions and star receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown are in discussions that would give St. Brown a contract extension of at least 3 years. I don't think anybody would be opposed to that. Okay? No. And,
he's entering year 4.
Yep. I think everybody thinks, yes, extend Amon-Ra. But before we get into the amount, here are the highest paid receivers in the National Football League on an annual basis, okay? So Tyreek Hill makes $30 million annually. This is according to Spot Track. Devontae Adams, $28 million. Cooper Kupp, $26.7 million. A.J. Brown, $25 million. Stephon Diggs, $24. DK Metcalf, $24. Debo, $23.85. Terry McLaurin, $22.78. DJ Moore, $20.628. Keenan Allen, $20.025. Amari Cooper, $20 million. Chris Godwin, $20 million. Mike Williams, $20 million. All right, so those are all of the receivers that annually make more than $20 million a year. And I wanted to read through those names so you know who's at the top of the list as far as what they're getting paid. Now you kind of got to get into, all right,
well,
what does he belong in that category?
Yeah, annually. This past season was a phenomenal season for Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yep.
He finished third in the NFL in receptions, third in the NFL in yards receiving. He was tied for fourth in the NFL with 10 touchdown receptions. I mean, those are phenomenal numbers, and he's been very consistent as a Detroit Lion throughout his short 3-year career. 912 yards receiving his rookie season, went up to 1,161 yards, and this year up to 1,515 yards. 90 receptions to 106 to 119. 5 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns, 10 touchdowns. This guy is trending in the right direction. He's hitting his prime years. And get ready, because if you're going to speculate on what kind of a contract it's going to be, like we discussed yesterday, you had the speculative discussion because Boomer Esiason said, well, Jared Goff should probably get a 4-year, $200 million deal, $50 million a year. What would St. Brown get? I think somewhere between $20 and $30 million. So if you want to say 25 or 24 or 23, I'm not going to argue that. But that number is going to start with a 2 when you give him an extension.
Yeah. So understand, too, what he's making right now, and his cap hit this year was $1.251 million. Okay? So we're starting with the idea that his cap hit is probably going to be $20 million more than this year. It can get there's all kinds of ways you can write it to try and make it as team friendly as far as the cap is concerned. Players care about guarantees and bonus signing bonuses. But I just read the list of wide receivers at the top. Okay? There were 13 names. Mike Williams, Chris Godwin. This is going from 13 to 1. Mike Williams, Chris Godwin, Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, Debo Samuel, DK Metcalf, Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown, Cooper Kupp, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill. Where in that list does he belong? Now, a lot like the quarterback position, you have to keep in mind that there is a chance that he might get paid more than some of these guys, that he might not be necessarily better than or more established than him or whatever, but this is the price of doing business. You pay what the market, at that time, it's going to be, I'm going to guess, like when I look at these numbers, he's probably getting top 5 money, right?
I would think it'd be right around that.
And then over the course of his career, it becomes top 7 money, then it's top 10 money. And
yeah, because Justin Jefferson will sign a deal.
Yeah. So Jamar Chase is in line for a contract this offseason.
Well, you got all the 14 wide receivers or whatever that were taken ahead of him. They're all in line for the same thing. And, you could argue that he's the best of the bunch.
Yep. So with that said, here's what the story or the tweet said. Amon-Ra St. Brown and the Lions in discussion that would give St. Brown's a contract extension of at least 3 years at an annual salary of $25 million. Extending Brown is a priority for the Lions as they enter this offseason. Okay. I think that there is a high degree of probability that they are going to extend Goff and St. Brown. pretty safe assumption, isn't it? Or
I
they're
think
going to
so.
try.
Yeah.
And then we circle back to what Brad Holmes said a week ago Monday. You're going to wonder what we're doing in May, June, April, May, June. Why are, what are they doing? Don't panic. Then he said, I don't expect a lot of external ads. And he said, draft, develop. Keep your own guys. I mean, I hate to give away the ending here. Spoiler alert. There's $61 million in free agent. A whole bunch of it is budgeted for Goff and St. Brown.
Yeah.
And, it's fun to be a big player in free agency. But this seems rather obvious, and I feel like Holmes has tipped his hand on what they're going to try to do.
Well, I still think Holmes is going to do what Holmes has always done.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to free agency, of course, I do think he's going to take care of his own, the ones that you need to take care of, which we've discussed. But when it comes to bringing outside free agents in, they're going to be done on short-term deals. So you're not worried about, how is this going to affect the cap when you got to re-sign Penei Sewell or Aiden Hutchinson? It doesn't matter because this will be like a one-year deal that you give a contract to somebody in free agency because that's their MO. That's his MO specifically.
Yep.
They need to sign St. Brown right away or extend him, rework that new deal because the market will be reset very fast. So get in now before it gets more expensive. Justin Jefferson, T. Higgins, names you guys have mentioned, but Jefferson is definitely going to break any record of any receiver because he deserves it. Justin Jefferson, in my opinion, when healthy, is the best receiver in the league. St. Brown's up there in that same tier, but probably below, as far as if I had to rank him. Want St. Brown back badly. You got to pay up. He's so important to this team. And this is one of the problems of drafting so well is you're going to have to dole out big contracts.
Yep.
You almost need, and no disrespect to this guy, I'm going to bring up his name, but you need a few Alex Anzalonis in there, that don't break the market, but they do a good job. You need those type of guys. Pascal, I don't know what he's going to be necessarily, but because the guys like Hutch and St. Brown and Goff, those guys are going to get paid big money.
Now, I don't know what to make of like this. The source very well could be true. We're treating it as, kind of a rumor that's out there. When we see a Justin Rogers or a Dave Burkett or a Colton Pouncey or one of the beat writers start to get into it, and I haven't yet, then we'll have a little bit better sense for how true this is.
Yeah, I don't look at this as anything that's we should give it a ton of credence to, just other than the fact that if it's somebody just writing a story about, hey, what do you think? And you're being speculative, like Boomer Esiason was.
This is different, though. This is saying.
Well, I know he's whoever this is citing it with a source. I'm taking it with the same grain of salt.
Okay.
That I would with Boomer saying that Jared Goff should get $50 million a year because I think that's okay. It's logical to think that if you're looking at the numbers of the top receivers in football, and St. Brown's ready for an extension, what do you think he would get? I don't think it's out of line to say 25 a year.
And I think you have to be really careful. Like, I get that we all want all our players back as long and as cheap as possible so that they can make other moves. The one thing that I'm always a little bit leery of is the Lions have the best culture they've had in a long time, and they don't want to, get a reputation for trying to do things on the cheap. You want to be able to have the players say, yeah, I want to be here too. And oh, by the way, the organization takes care of you. But to what end, right? Because you just hope that everything's reasonable so that the player's happy, the team's happy, and you aren't 100% handcuffed. But the two things we want to ask the people is, again, we're seeing now what is the manifestation of the plan. If Goff is in line for what Boomer said, and if there is some veracity to this report, this is taking up almost all of your cap space. It's taking up a ton of your, I shouldn't say almost all. It's taking up a ton of your cap space. And is why they're probably not a player for the biggest free agents. Are you cool with that? 248-539-9797. And just like we did yesterday, would you approve of this contract for Amon-Ra? 3-year extension, $25 million per, floated out there by a NFL reporter. 248-539-9797. We'll get to your phone call.